I would like to talk to you for a few minutes, encourage you um, concerning being prepared for the Lord. The title of this little message is I Can Sleep on a Windy Night. And I want to draw your attention to a story about a young man that was trying to get a job so on a farm, and he went and he talked to the owner and for a little interview, and the owner was like, well, why should I hire you, young man? What qualifications do you have that I should hire you to work on my farm? And he said, I can sleep on a windy night, sir. And he said to him, the farmer thought to himself, sleep on a windy night? What do you mean? And the boy just stood there and looked at him, and the owner of the farm said, tell me, what can you do? What can you bring to the table to help me on this farm? There's lots that's required of you, and I want to know, what can you do? And he said, sir, I can sleep on a windy night. And so the farmer, he thought, well, we're going to give him a shot. And he hired him. And a couple weeks went by, and the young boy's working and everything. And then one night, late at night, there was a storm. And the wind was blowing real hard, and the rain was falling real hard, and things was happening on the farm and everything. And he after the storm, he asked the young man, what did you do during that storm to prepare for that storm? Is my horses okay? Is my hay okay? Is my equipment put away? Is there any damage anywhere? And the young man said, sir, I can sleep on a windy night. And he then understood what the young boy was really saying. And that is that he said, oh, that's right. He said, I cover the hay every night. I put the horses up every night. I make sure the gates are locked every night. I make sure everything's buttoned down every single night before I go to bed. I can sleep on a windy night. And I wonder today, spiritually speaking, there's a lot of people that are going to bed and they really can't afford to sleep on a windy night. They haven't spent time with the Lord. They haven't communed with God, that one-on-one communion. They haven't read their Bible, reading it, so that it speaks to you. And what they don't realize, maybe that's you out there right now, and what you don't realize is it's actually been 6 months since you spent good quality time with the Lord, since you checked on your soul, since you checked on your conscience, since you checked on how you're walking, how you're living, and what you're doing. And, Jesus talked about, building on sand and building on a rock. And the winds blew and the rains fell and the storm came. On the outside, in reality, you can look at both houses. They kind of look the same on the outside. One was built on a rock, and most foundations, a lot of times you can't see the foundation. And that's kind of how it is right out here. Everything isn't as it appears. When I meet somebody, I always remember that. They can say, oh, I've been going to church for many years. Oh, I read the Bible all the time. Or, oh, I love Jesus. Do you? Do you really? Last night when you went to sleep, if you would have died in your sleep, were you ready to meet God? Or has it been 18 months since you even spoke to Him? I've seen people come to the door of death, and even watching it happen, I always feel how time just closes in and it's over. And you can always sense this idea of if I just had more time, if I just had another day, the things that I would say, the attitude within myself that I would get right, the time that I would spend with the Lord to make sure that I'm right. It comes to a fast close. So tonight, maybe we all should remember, every night, maybe we should remember, that old prayer. If I die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. When we lay our head down on our bed and we leave that day behind, did we make all the preparations to meet the Lord if we're taken in our sleep? How did we spend that day? A lot of people will meet death's door and they haven't even spent 10 minutes in a half a century with God. I'm 55 years old. And to think of people that are, in the 50s, 60s, 70s coming to death's door and they haven't even spent one good hour alone with God, communing about their soul. Is my heart right with God? I can sleep on a windy night. I can sleep on a windy night because I've made things right with God. And I tend to those things daily. I tend to my prayer life daily. I tend to reading that Bible daily. And I tend to my conscience. Paul said to have a conscience that is clear before all men. I tend to these things daily, and when something is violated, I ask God to forgive me. I correct it. I keep short accounts with missing the mark. Short accounts. How about you? How about you? We form habits, and before we know it, we form time living in those habits, and we form a lifestyle. And that very lifestyle many times is what ushers many people right to death's door. Make a habit of every day making sure you're right with God. Keeping things right with God so that you too can sleep on a windy night in peace. With peace of mind and peace in your heart. Knowing that everything is right between you and the Lord. Okay? God bless you.